Patrol, a Newgrounds creators podcast. My name is Will Comer. I am your host with the most. Note to self, remind me to never say that again. Oh, right, we got a roundtable episode for you today, which is super exciting. As you know, 3 separate artists get to come in together and share their viewpoints on things. This one was fun and took a turn for the more fun, and you'll hear about that. First of all, as you know from last time, we opened up our Grounds Patrol mailbox to accept messages that you might want to get read on the show, and we have some. First of all, I want to read from Konstantin Kolev, sent via email. Thank you, Konstantin. I hope I'm saying your name right, or Konstantin. He says, "Hello, Will. I humbly thank you for the existence of Grounds Patrol. Were it not for the interesting guests and your sweet honey-coated voice, ooh, I would have lodged a grenade down my throat and do a triple backflip from the 11th floor of my commie block while yelling, 'Grab a supporter status on Newgrounds.'" That is the most Russian thing I've ever heard. Thank you. He says, "P.S. I would really love to see more triple combo artist podcasts like the one with Meow, Hyptosis, and Yakolev. Well, boy, do I have a treat for you right now." Thank you for sending that. I appreciate it. Terrorbite, who I love from the Discord, says, "Hey, Grounds Patrol, I have 2 questions. What are some of your favorite Newgrounds series? And what are some of your likes and dislikes about the site as a whole?" Good question, and thank you. Favorite series? God, I love the Brackenwood one. Also Elethrian, which I've been getting into recently after the interview last time. Both super, the pro quality animations. Wow. Also, I was, I would say prime on Newgrounds back when Starbarians was starting up and, Egoraptor was doing his thing on Newgrounds, so all of those, not to say that I'm mad that they're not happening as quickly now. It takes time to make great art, and Egoraptor's doing his own thing, which is also beautiful, and he has the right to. And good and bad things about the website as a whole. I love that it's a website where a community can be creative together and give feedback. I also love that it's multimedia. I love that an artist can submit art and audio and games and movies. Because most artists like us, we're creative in multiple ways. We don't have one single thing that we only like to do. I like being able to make whatever I want and posting it all under the same name. That's awesome. Dislikes I've talked about enough on this show, but, accessibility needs to be ramped up. Nobody understands what Newgrounds is except for us lovely few. Thank you for the question. Finally, Ninja Muffin, who is my producer, says, "Hello, Grounds Patrol podcast. When are you going to clap back against the couple of Crickets boys after they assassinated you on their podcast? You need to get their dirt on Good L. I know that guy's hiding something." First of all, assassinated is a very strong word. I would say, trying to assassinate, but, all you have is a slingshot. Love those guys. And I'm sure Good L has dirt on him, but I'm pretty sure I don't want to know what it is. So, there you go. Guys, you can send us an email at groundspatrol@gmail.com or tweet at us at groundspatrol. You can get your message on the show. That's fun, right? Yay. Now, this roundtable episode today is with 3 really cool Newgrounds creators.
I'm Sabrina. I'm also known as Amity Heath.
I'm Kelzad. I make madness cartoons, and I am your regular loser.
Most people know me by Sethic. I've been working on madness cartoons since I was 14.
Yes, that's right. We're talking Madness Combat Fanbase. If you saw their names in the title of this episode, you would probably know that this is a Madness Combat Fanbase related episode. But I'll tell you that it takes on a bit more of a life than that. There's more that we talk about besides just Madness. Partly, in fact, because I realized how little I know about the Madness Fanbase, which is embarrassing to say the least as a host. But I ended up having a ton of fun with this interview with these guys. Number 1, because they're super fun. Number 2, because one of the Newgrounds creators, Sethic, also has another alias that he does other stuff on Newgrounds. Once I found this out, in kind of an embarrassing way, I got to interview him about that as well. It's super fun. This is sort of a half Madness Combat Fanbase roundtable and half adult, not safe for work content roundtable. Both of the things I wanted to learn more about on Newgrounds, and I got what I wanted, that's for sure. Fair warning, this episode has strong language and some adult themes in it, just so you know. Alright, enjoy. Did you guys meet, Sabrina and Kelsa, did you guys meet through the Madness community?
Yeah, we actually did.
Yes.
we actually were aware of each other like a few years prior, and we didn't really talk back then. But it wasn't until like, what was it, 2017, where we actually just kind of, I came into a server and I just kind of started talking with him, and then we ended up just kind of talking more through that, and that's how we kind of ended up being together and stuff.
Cool. I love hearing like we are together because we met on Newgrounds stories. Like it warms my heart just to know that this kind of weird online community that we're all part of that is what we know it is can
Yeah.
also like spawn nice relationships like that. I know I'll shout out my friend, the audio mod Mitch. I know he met Brittany through Newgrounds. I hung out with him through online stuff way back in the day, and I remember that just being like, I didn't know that internet relationships could be real relationships.
Not even just
for
like
sure.
like relationships, it's just like friendships too. Actually, I met somebody in school, like when school started in the fall, from Newgrounds, the Newgrounds Discord, when it was first originally a thing. And it turns out he actually lived a few doors down from me where I was dorming. We kind of became IRL friends just through Newgrounds, and it's kind of weird how that just kind of happens.
I did the same thing in high school. One of my best friends who was in homeroom with me, we were both on Newgrounds, and we started working together in person because we knew we both did stuff on Newgrounds individually.
Yeah.
So, Madness. Why Madness? I know that's a stupid interviewee question, but like, why is this a community that you guys latch onto?
It's fun. That's about it.
That's
Or
kind of
at
the
least-
general answer.
At least for me. I kind of keep the community at arm's length for reasons, which isn't to say I won't talk to people, but I mostly just do it as a me thing, which is probably why I'm so off and on with it, because like sometimes I'll get really inspired to do like a very specific scene that I can like see vividly in my mind. I'm like, yeah, that'd be cool, but then it's like after that I don't have any fuel to go from there.
Yeah.
It's
For me, it's just because I think it's cool. It's fun. It's an easy way to bring like ideas to life without having to put in like. I mean, you still put in painstakingly like long amounts of time, but I would argue that puppet animation is significantly easier than frame by frame to an extent.
Yeah, the techniques are pretty easy in terms of other types of animation. It's a sort of digital stop motion type of animation. It's unique. I think that's why most people who get started with it also want to. I don't know. It inspires others. When you see someone's test, you can always go like, oh, I can do that better, and you can just pick it up from a website with all the resources that you need and get started pretty quickly.
For me, it's like the whole idea of madness is very vague, and I just want to play around with that vague idea because I don't animate it really, I draw it. So I have my own characters that I could make out of it and just try to, see what I could come up with from there, really.
You said the idea of madness is vague. That's an interesting. What is the idea of madness? What would you describe it as?
It's in the name.
Yeah. It is in the name. And as a series, like before, like we had like all this story progression with like 9, 10, and all the 0.5s and whatever, there really wasn't a coherent story. It was just kind of going along with each episode. So it's just kind of like trying to figure out, hey, this thing happened. What can I do to build up on it, kind of thing, if you catch my drift. That's how the whole series has kind of been for, I don't know, ever since it kind of started, really.
Yeah.
It was supposed to end like at 4, then at 8, then something else after that.
When would you say the story as you know it now actually started? I mean, there was a lot of when it was about pie and stuff at first, right?
That's always kind of made me like. I've always questioned why people thought that, because that was just like the non-canon game.
Yeah, that's true.
I've never seen why people would say that has anything to do with the actual story.
I thought it was like the second movie was about pie and the sheriff, and the game was based on that.
Yeah, I guess it's also because people weren't used to the non-canon things in general back then. Everyone just assumed it was a part of the story because it's still the same thing.
It's from the same creator, and it's a game from the series, so might as well just tie it in together.
I think it's because Matt, the creator, has a completely different approach to how he sees chronologic timelines. What do you call it? With the incidents, they just suddenly came out of nowhere just because he had an idea. It's kind of the same.
I think he just wanted to make a game based off the movie, but make it a little more personable in the sense that it's like, oh, it's your madness guy. So because he's not Hank, he needs a reason to go after the sheriff. So he just made up some
Yeah.
silly bullshit like Matt does.
Yeah.
How close are you guys working with Matt? You talk about Matt like you know him pretty well.
I don't know about the other two, but I chat almost like daily with him. Like we're pretty close, which is weird. We actually met back a couple years ago when before he got over his drinking problem, and we weren't really like we chatted every like maybe twice a month, a few times every couple of months. But now it's like we just send each other shit and like just chat like two good friends. It's a weird contrast. Yeah, I'd say he's a pretty good friend of mine. I mean, if he wasn't, I don't think he would have trusted me to work on his projects with him.
Yeah, sure. It feels like a community where you can reach out to him pretty easily if you want to, which is awesome.
Yeah.
He's a very open guy.
Definitely in more recent times, yeah.
Oh yeah.
He used to be kind of hard to get a hold of, but now it's like he'll jump into like every community server and just chat with people.
Yeah, it's a unique experience.
Newgrounds in general has been stunning me with how many top-level creators have just been sort of really willing to help talk to everybody and just be available.
It's a community full of people who are interested in communicating with each other.
Yeah, and like helping each other out.
Yeah, because everyone's been in the same situation of like looking up to someone, and they wanted to be more like outspoken with everybody.
Yeah, more outgoing.
I would say approachable.
Yeah, exactly.
Does being able to talk to him and have him help inspire you to do more projects for it yourself?
Oh yeah.
That's always what it's been like.
Yeah, it makes me feel like, hey, my stuff isn't terribly bad if, even this guy can give it a few likes.
The first project animation really part one
Ugh.
was the first actual animation that I made. I'd only made that one tiny Christmas thing back in 2013, but Project Ooks was the first actual thing I made, and I'm pretty happy with that.
It's pretty bold. Like you made a whole movie, considering like most people just try to do like tests or like try to do like smaller like clips or whatever.
Yeah, I made like 10.
Went straight
I
in.
made like 10 tests and just got on with it. I spent a whole year trying to experiment with Flash so I would learn as much as I could from it. Instead of just making tests or drawing or something. So I built the story before I got going. I feel like that's an element a lot of people are missing to really get the cinematic feel to it. Which was also another aspect of it, was like to add another cinematic sort of perspective on it. I feel like that's something that's kind of lacking in Madness sometimes. Or can
it's
be.
all like linear and flat, right?
Yeah, it's linear.
Yes. I've always seen that. And, Madness straight canon is you're watching like a scene in a room and there's the characters being animated through the room. It's the same camera angle, right?
Yeah.
And it's all this kind of really cool, fun action from the same little shot perspective. So the chance to get a little cinematic with it and change the angle even, it brings it to a whole new level.
Yeah.
It's just hard to get that when you're not very experienced. So you do with what you have.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is hard. Most people think that Madness is very like they think it's like very easy. It is very easy, but at the same time, it's sort of realistic. And when I say realistic, I mean like it's in real time. You can't really trick with how in like 2D animation, classic 2D animation, you can say like a character jumps and then it cuts to the next shot, and it takes like a second or two after for it to really because of timing.
Yes.
But Madness has to be real time. It has to flow as if you're watching it yourself. It's a totally different approach to just action and storytelling.
Because it's like easy to make symbols move, but it's harder to actually make it look good without making it look like you just tweened it.
Do you think the fact that Madness is flat on a plane and the animation has a certain speed and a certain style, do you think that is part of what lends itself so easily to have a fan base like this?
It's part of the reason, yeah.
It has to be, to me. Like that, you have so much of an opportunity to get the story and the way the action happens, but do it in different ways, because it only really happens in one way in movies.
Yeah, that's been the core of the fan base. It's to be like manipulating and honing the skills of the tools that were, I don't know, because people can decompile Flash files. Everyone has been able to take the sprites and symbols to move them around themselves, and then do whatever they want with them. So yeah, that's definitely, it's like Gary's motto in a way, like in SFM videos.
For
I
sure.
never thought about it like
It's
that. That's actually kind
a
of
very
true.
accessible.
Or like machinima, kind of like you have a certain number of ways that your character can move, and you need to tell a story with that. It's like minimalist almost.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is pretty minimalistic to a degree, especially when you're one person or two.
Valluvar, I'm curious about your Madness fan base career too, because I'll admit I don't know you quite as well. I'm looking through your Newgrounds page and I'm seeing a lot of super juicy adult art in here.
I was afraid of that.
I'm surprised you're not in the movies or the news post section, unless you're not on the right Newgrounds page. That is.
Because he's on Valluvar, not Sethic, I'm assuming.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's probably why.
I will correct that.
That's a big difference. There's a big difference.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm on valluvari.newgrounds.com because that's
Oh
your
no.
name.
Oh no.
God.
And I'll fully admit I don't see much Madness stuff, which is why I'm a little embarrassed to ask how you
Yeah,
got started
Chris,
with
what is
Madness.
this about, huh?
Because all I see is a lot.
Well,
of
you see, when
porn.
you break down a figure to its most basic sketch components, it also shares the crossface, so that's where like the tie. That's where the tie-in is.
Sure, yeah.
Oh no.
This turned out very differently.
Sapphic, cool. I am professional and I do my research.
You're every gamer journalist out there.
Oh no.
Nice. God, I am. Well, now we're just going to go through Sapphics Newgrounds page and talk about it. Happy birthday, you're 22.
I
Or you
was.
were back in
I
March.
was 22 in March.
Okay, this is making a lot of sense now. Hey, Valluvari/Sapphic, why do you think so many adult content creators don't want to have their voice on the air? Do you think it's because the voice is kind of a central part of like you as a person and you want to be able to hide behind? Because I've talked about this in other episodes. I have trouble getting adult content creators on the show because a lot of them don't want to have their voice.
Well, like Corey Spaz.
Sure, yeah. I actually haven't reached out to him yet, but that would probably be very true. You know?
I was gonna say I know he's pretty shameless like I am.
Mhm.
Good.
I've talked with him a few times on Discord, but so actually he might be someone you could get to go on. I think a lot of people are just kind of embarrassed to an extent to have their kind of like identity like stamped and associated with their deepest fetishistic desires, especially if it's something they think is embarrassing or gross.
Sure.
It varies from person to person. Like I'm at peace with my demons. Like I'm like, yeah, I'm a degenerate, but I accept it. But then you have like the inverse. Some people are like way into it, or like it's all they want to talk about. I just think if anyone's embarrassed, they're probably fearful of having their identification either like permanently stamped with whatever they're into fetish wise, or they're afraid of some kind of like public backlash.
Right. And I can understand you're not going to be able to identify somebody by their name they've chosen for themselves, but you might be able to recognize somebody's voice, especially if you know that person really well. And be like, oh my God, that's my cousin or something like that.
One of my friends actually, she also does like adult content, and if I remember correctly, someone in her graduating class had actually been following her for like years, completely not knowing that it was her. So it could, you could very well, go on a podcast and all of a sudden tons of people who know you are like, oh my God, you're this person who draws that thing.
Sure. I want to pick your brain, and this is starting to not have as much to do with the Madness community, but as an adult artist, do you find that you're able to have a big, like, solid and supportive peer group of artists online? I know nothing about that. Like, are you able to post your stuff and get feedback and just like any other kind of art?
Yeah. I mean, it's like any other kind of artist community where, you have to network and make connections, whether you're going out of your way or someone's coming to you. I mean, that's how you usually end up in like Discord servers. And, like there's some Discord servers just have, like my friend Tony, he came to me over Tumblr, and that was how him and I became friends. But his server Duels is just like a place to hang out, a place to share and chat about art, and then also a place to share and chat about like not safe for work art. So I would say it's pretty much like any other community for the most part. But I think I don't know how to say this. It's because there are a lot of people who obviously have a strong disposition towards adult content, like they think that art shouldn't be used for that or whatever. But I can't even name one person that has that mindset that has ever supported anything that I've done. But like, I work at, this is my job. Like I draw this stuff at home. People, pay me to draw it. So like, I don't know. I feel like there's definitely more of a support, probably because, adult content's such a personalized thing when it comes to like what everyone's into. They probably feel a little more like personally attached to an artist if they're making something for them. I get an overwhelming amount of adult content commissions, but I can't even count maybe a few people, but definitely not in recent years that have gotten something that wasn't adult artwork from me.
How often do you get commissioned for something that you feel uncomfortable with? Like, okay, I'm not really sure I want to go down that road or something.
I used to. Well, here's the thing. Like, one is that I'm pretty desensitized to a bunch of stuff.
Fair enough.
My original standing was just like whatever, I don't care. But that kind of changed over time because not because I started to become sensitive to it, but because it was just like, how do I explain this in a way that that doesn't sound kind of degenerate? Fuck it, I'll just go with it. No shame. So like, It's different when you're drawing something that you're into, like on that level, because then you're actually enjoying the process. But then when you have to draw, something that's just as intimate that you're not into, then it kind of, for me at least, becomes like kind of boring. Like, not like, oh, I'd rather not be drawing this, but just like, man, I'd rather be drawing something else. This is kind of boring in comparison.
It becomes more of a job. It sounds like it becomes more like a chore, right?
To an extent, it depends. If you're filling a niche, then you can find people who are into what you're into, and then if they support you, then technically, like what I'm doing, I'm just drawing content that I enjoy every month. Just 10 pictures a month, and boom, there you go. I got rent and bills paid, and it's all stuff that I enjoy because of the niche that I contribute to. Which I meant to say, I just thought, I was like, oh, well, this stuff isn't gross. I just think it's boring. So I'm just going to narrow down what, people are allowed to, order from me. Because, if they, don't like my rules and they can just go to another artist, it's not like, it's the end of the world. I'll find more people.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a link between your persona of Valluvar and Sethic? Like, when you're doing the adult stuff, do you link to your madness stuff and vice versa? Or is it two separate things that you do?
They were originally interconnected, but then I kind of separated them because, see, before, and a lot of people frown on this, I was a teenager drawing adult content. So, I wasn't really thinking critically about what I'm about to say, which is that, since madness tends to attract a, younger audience, like minors and stuff, I was like, it's kind of weird for me to, like, not intentionally, but like unintentionally, metaphorically be waving candy around like, hey kids, come check out the stuff that I do. And then also have like hardcore blatant porn like all over as well.
Yeah.
It was also kind of like a tonal whiplash. It would be like akin to if you had a really bad like cheesy joke in the middle of a serious like dark horror movie, like it would just stand out and be really weird.
Yeah.
So I decided to kind of like separate them, and I try not to link back to either. With my adult stuff, like I've had people come to me and be like, oh hey, I know you animate madness stuff, that's cool. And I meet fans sometimes that way, and I'll link back to my my animation stuff, but I'll never link from my animation stuff to like adult content, especially if I can't tell if someone's an adult or not.
Sure. I guess it would kind of cascade from like most adult to least adult. You would more likely link to the less adult stuff from the more adult stuff because there's nothing they're more in danger of seeing on that side of it.
Yeah, because it's like I'm also not at risk of giving someone adult content from an account that doesn't really support it, in the sense that like if someone's messaging me on my adult content page, and they've already seen it. They already know what's on there. I can't help that. But if I can help it, in this case, if someone I don't know at all asks me about it and is like, "Yo, what's like the account where you draw this stuff?" I at least have a chance to interject and potentially stop, like minors from looking at my work.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. It sounds like you're responsible with it, and I can really appreciate that. I've never, as I'm becoming clear, I've never really been able to talk to people who make that kind of art, and I have no idea where the responsibility lies and if there's kind of a monitoring of it or if it's just kind of anything goes. It's cool to hear you say that, like, not only is there a big, full, and supportive group of artists in that world, but there's also some like moral responsibility. You're not just going to be, you're still trying to make sure minors can't see what they don't need to see, and I appreciate that. That's really good.
Yeah, it's also another thing that's like, one, it's all based around like the court of public opinion, so it's technically up in the air for change if ever that happens, but also it's kind of like a case by case scenario, I guess you could say, because it's like, if say I was in a circle of not safe for work artists, I could be responsible about what I'm doing, but like maybe someone else in that circle isn't.
The weakest link a little bit.
Yeah,
They're gonna see it.
It's not like the entire community is responsible. It's more of like it's kind of up to you as an individual to take on that responsibility. And for the most part, no one can really stop you if you do or don't.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is my last question. I promise I'll get back to the madness part of this. I'm just very fascinated. Do you consider, is it not safe for work art something you want to be doing as a long-term career? Is this something you will keep doing and doing? Or is there going to be a point where you feel like you want to get into something else?
Well,
and I hope you know I mean that without any judgment. If it is a lifelong career, I'm totally in support of that. I'm just curious.
It's sort of in the air. For the most part, I can definitely see myself still doing it for a handful of years. What I would like to do is eventually break into doing like professional, like industry level comic book work if I can.
Mm-hmm.
But currently, what the plan is, so here's the nice thing, right? My queue, like my work queue is kind of out of control right now. I have like 40 commissions to do, but once this month, I'm gonna crack down and finish a picture a day so that I can clear out my queue. And what that means, and this kind of ties back into the madness stuff originally, once my queue is like under control, I only have to draw 10 pictures a month, right? So that's 10 days, say I finish a picture a day, which I can do. It's 10 days out of, 30, 31 that I have to do something I don't want to do.
Yeah.
The rest of that time I can dedicate to doing, like more madness tutorials, making more madness cartoons, doing live streams and stuff. I've just not had time recently because of some financial like related issues that I'm getting out of now. They're not prevalent anymore, but before it was like I've been working on this one movie, but I had to like completely halt like all work on it for months, as a result. But like I said, the nice thing is that if I continue to do this like as a full-time job, for however long, say madness dies out in 10 years, right? I could do this as a job for 10 years and then continue to make madness cartoons on the side with my spare time and so on and so forth. So they kind of like, the madness cartoons don't support the adult art, but the adult art supports the madness cartoons. So they're kind of like intertwined.
That makes a lot of sense.
I've only ever done like one not safe for work thing, and it was mostly because like Ninja Muffin, the guy who made the Blacks Only game on Newgrounds, he was like, hey, I kind of need voices for monster mashing. I'm like, fuck you, I'll do it. Why not? Who gives a damn? So I just provided voices, and I kept myself uncredited for a while just because I'm like, no one needs to know I fucking did this. But now I'm just like, who cares? It's censored on Newgrounds. If you want to buy it on Newtaku for $3, go ahead. But I don't think any madness kid will want to buy anything from a porn site with their mom's credit card. So I have that handled at least.
I think if there's any moral of this general podcast, it is that Ninja Muffin does everything.
Yes.
Words to live by.
Well, because the current Newgrounds server, I own it currently, but he does basically everything. So I'm like, I'm taking off my crown. Here, you can have admin.
How's the Newgrounds server doing, by the way? I am not able to keep up because it's so fast, but I know there was a lot of drama, which I'm not going to bother talking about now. But like, how's it doing? Is it healthy and good?
Oh yeah, it's very healthy because originally Ivan had the ownership of the first Newgrounds server, and then he just didn't like how it was going, so he deleted it.
Oh, I know. I was part of all that.
Yeah, and then there was another Newgrounds server, and then Ivan again, he gave the server ownership to some random person that just joined the server and then ran, and completely that was a whole mess. That server's completely gone now, from as far as I'm aware. So
I was part of it for like the day it was happening, and I remember being like, "All right, if this is the way the Newgrounds server's gonna go, then all right."
Nah.
You seem to be doing a very fine job with it, and it's really cool to see it grow in a controlled way, which is good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Ivan might actually be on the show before too long, so I'd be curious to maybe hear his take. Maybe not. Maybe just not going to bother, but
who knows? Maybe who knows what he'll say. But the server's doing fine right now. I mostly only have ownership just so nobody messes with it, because I know Ninja Muffin will do something weird with like the icon and like the name or whatever. I'm just like, I'm gonna hold on to the server ownership right now, but I'll give us both admin just so you can still mess around with the bot and stuff and everything else. I just have the ownership just so nothing goes wrong.
Do you guys think I should give Ninja Muffin access to the Grounds Patrol Twitter?
He's a mad scientist of this place.
He'll do good things, but he also tweeted out, I think it was the Shame Dev's password, and a bunch of people got access to their Twitter. And I know Brandy Weasel was not a fan of that. It was because, like, I think at the time Cam was like, hey, give me a certain likes and I'll give you guys the password. Okay, here's the password. And then everyone just started messing around with the Twitter, and then that was a kind of a mess.
All right, Ninja, I'm watching you.
I love you, Cam.
I love you, Cam, too. Do you know he's a producer of this podcast? He's like the producer besides me.
Of course. He's like everything, dude. Love him.
Whatever, yeah. Speaking of Discords, okay, I was curious. As I keep on proving again and again, I'm the new guy to Newgrounds. I was there back in the day, but I've come back and I'm like trying to relearn everything. This podcast should be called Will Learns What Newgrounds Is. But anyway, I went to the Madness Discord, and it felt like I had crossed over customs into North Korea. It was like,
yeah.
Tell me, what's happening there? Why is there so many rules and mods and this and that? What happened?
I'm going to say one thing about it. I'm going to try to leave as much personal stuff aside. It was completely different from when it was created back in 2015. It's just now all the mods, all the owners, everyone's in there. They're not the content creators that you actually see on Newgrounds. They're just all fans. And they're like, hey, I'm a mod in the server. You have to respect me, kind of thing. And it's like, bruh. You're like, they don't provide any content or any sort of thing to the community itself besides running the server. And that, it kind of put them like on a high pedestal just because they moderate it. And that's actually pushed away like the rest of us Madness creators away from that server. That's why you don't actually see any of us in it. I actually got banned from there. I know. Yeah.
Good. Great.
Yeah. That's how bad it's gotten. But I just want to let you know, whatever you see in that server, that's not anything with the actual Madness community, the one that makes the content. That's completely separate.
That's good to know, because that's like the Madness Discord. If you try to find it, that's what you'll find, right? I mean, that's like...
Yeah.
Is there another Discord? Is there like an alternative, better one? Should we be redirecting traffic?
There's actually an alternative, worse one, but we won't talk about that one.
No. But we have our Green Pepper Studios one, which is the Madness Animation Group, the fan group that Kelset owns, Green Pepper Studios. That's a subgroup kind of thing to Madness. If you're a fan of like Realm or what Give 50 does or what Sethic here does, that's the server. It's not really the core Madness server, but Madness is talked in there, and that's just a group for, hey, you're a fan of our fan stuff? Here you go.
Good to know.
It's a content creation server mostly. Like if that's what it advertises it with.
We're at the point where you guys can plug anything that you guys have that you're doing now that you want people to look at.
Give me money.
Yeah.
Yeah, give her money. She's poor.
Hey.
Is there a link we can give you money at?
Ko-fi. That's Ko-fi.com/. I can't spell it. Coffee.com/Simbarine. Give me $9 for a burger, and I'll draw you something, I guess.
All right, guys, give her $9.
$9 for a burger.
Hey, it depends on.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
A big thank you to all those guys for joining me. That is all we have for now. Thank you guys for joining us. Before I close out today, I want to just sort of put this out there into the world. We are right now at 72 Newgrounds fans. That's, people that click the follow button and can see things that we post as we post it. I would love to get to 100 fans. So if you're listening to this and you're not a Newgrounds follower of us yet, just go to groundspatrol.newgrounds.com, click follow, and become a fan. I would love to get to 100. I would really love to get to 150. I would really love to get to 2 million too while we're at it. But no. For serious. I have big plans for this podcast, guys. I really do. And I'm gauging how quickly I grow it based on how much feedback I'm seeing from people and how quickly I'm seeing it grow. So if you want this podcast to grow big and strong, you can support it by becoming a follower on Newgrounds, also by following us on Twitter and all that. You can expect more stuff down the pipeline once we get up there, alright? As always, you can join our Discord at bit.ly/groundspatrol. We now have a trivia night every other Wednesday between the episode Wednesdays. So if you're hearing this on the day it comes out, 1 week from now, trivia game. Get in there and be smart, alright? You can follow us on Newgrounds and Twitter at Grounds Patrol. You can follow me on Newgrounds and Twitter at WillKMR. Thank you to Waterflame for the use of his song Below. And guys, if you don't like this podcast, you can go leave us some feedback on our website, acoupleofcrickets.newgrounds.com. Okay, next episode is on June 26th. Until next time, stay creative.